Hello guys, welcome here to Out of Turn 4. Boy, it was a busy week in the news for racing, and we're going to get to all that in just a moment. Of course, that's coming up later. We are going to start with Talladega, and I don't want to waste any time because, of course, again, big news week. So let's get going. Talladega. Matt DiBenedetto in the Truck Series, he captures his first ever National Series win. And, of course, it comes under caution. 200 feet from the finish line, they throw the caution for a big wreck in the tri-oval. But Matt DiBenedetto gets his first career win in any of NASCAR's top 3 series. I kind of wish they let him race till the end. I mean, yeah, Brett Holmes would have won. I'm happy for Matty D, though. I've been rooting for that win for a while. And when I saw that he got it, I'm just like, yes, finally. Again, I'm happy he won, but man, I'm sorry. I wish they let it run to the finish. I get Brett Holmes would have won, but, let him finish the race first. It's not like it was presenting any danger to the leaders. And then once the leaders cross the line, then throw the caution. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That was a battle for the win. I think I would have let it play out. But, again, so happy for Matty D. He gets his first career win. And, of course, he'll get to build toward next year when he will return to Rackley War. AJ Allmendinger, he finally gets a win on a super speedway, tracks that he hates. And he's still insisting, I hate super speedways. But he gets his first NASCAR Xfinity Series win on a restrictor plate. It is his 4th win of the season, his 14th career NASCAR Xfinity Series win. And on top of it, he doesn't have to worry going into the Roval as if he wasn't already a big threat to win there. He is now locked in with that win and can just race. He doesn't need to worry about points or anything else. So good run for AJ, and of course, man, I didn't know if he'd have it, but then the big push by Landon Castle really just paid dividends, and I feel bad for Landon. I mean, Landon's, I've been wanting Landon to win for a while too, but, for AJ to get that elusive win, of course, everyone loves watching AJ celebrate. I don't know anybody who doesn't. So, good win for AJ, good win for Colleague Racing. And we move on to the NASCAR Cup Series. Chase Elliott, he edged Ryan Blaney at the end of the race to win at Talladega. It is his 5th win of the season, his 18th career win. He is also the first NASCAR Cup Series driver that won, or he's the first Cup playoff driver that won in the playoffs. So big accomplishment there. And with that win, of course, he will lock into the round of 8. He does not have to worry about the Roval. Even though, again, another driver that very easily could win the Roval. And the other thing, of course, with Chase Elliott's playoff woes so far, added insurance, I think, is the big name, or the big gain right there. But, Chase, man, they said, what a move. Well, he had a good pusher behind him in Eric Jones, and behind Eric Jones in Ross Chastain. If it wasn't for those two cars, I don't think we would be talking about Chase Elliott winning, and you got to feel for Ryan Blaney, man. He's been so close all year. He's had chances to win, and, man, I thought he'd do it, but he's been consistent. That's been really good for him, and he's likely going to advance to the round of 8 on consistency. But, again, the Roval is next, and we know the Roval can be chaos. So we'll get to see what happened. Bouncing back, though, before we get to the news, I did miss a piece of news from the truck race. Of course, Jordan Anderson involved his engine blew. The whole cabin caught fire, which led to Jordan Anderson being airlifted to a hospital to be treated for second-degree burns. First off, so glad to see that Jordan Anderson is okay. I did get a chance to meet him at Watkins Glen. He's a very nice guy. So obviously you hate to see that. You absolutely hate to see that happen. And, again, for Jordan to walk away, well, to walk away, I mean, he got out of the car while it was riding against the wall. But for him to get out and, survive that is crazy. And again, just watching the highlights of that fire. I just can't believe he got out in time. And, again, thankfully, second-degree burns are no joke, but, thankfully that's all that was. Anyway, now we move on to the news. Of course, Alex Bowman, he missed Talladega due to the concussion protocol. Of course, his crash at Texas, he rear-ended the wall. Much like Kurt Busch, a crash that you normally would think, man, he'll be okay. That's just a slight hit. Well, unfortunately, it caused a concussion. And, of course, Rick Hendrick tapped Noah Gragson, who was supposed to drive for Beard Motorsports at Talladega, but Gragson got up to the 48 and, of course, led that team to a 19th place finish. And in place of Noah Gragson at Beard Motorsports was Justin Allgaier. So, NASCAR has announced as well this week that they will take one of their next-gen prototype cars with a new rear-end clip to an Ohio crash test site, hoping to work on modifications to the back of the car, which has seemingly caused the concussions for Kurt Busch and Alex Bowman. They say the modification, if it works, should be ready by 2023. Again, it's a rough draft. I get people are very upset about how, these crashes, and obviously I hope Alex Bowman and Kurt Busch are okay, but, this is things that maybe you should have taken an extra year to think about. I get it. We wanted the next gen this year. It needed to be brought in, and it's brought in some really exciting racing. I will give them credit where it's due. This car is one of the best I've seen on the track, but the safety aspect has taken such a step backwards that it's just, they gotta, and again, rough draft, and I get it, they're gonna figure things out about these cars over the coming years, but the safety should have been the first and foremost thing here. This is something, they should have taken this car to the crash test site at the beginning of the year. They should have tested every single angle, you'd imagine, especially delaying it. It was supposed to be 2021 that we were going to have this new car. And, of course, got pushed to 2022 this year. So you would think and I get it, COVID was a big part of it, but this is things you had time to work on. I'm just glad we survived Talladega, and Talladega was a very mild weekend, no big crashes, which was really good. But, it's just frustrating to see that, but I do hope that these modifications will help with future crashes, of course. Some big news, some news I didn't expect to happen this week. And it comes from the Money team, of course, the team that ran the Daytona 500 and Circuit of the Americas, and I believe the Coke 600 with Kaz Grala. I don't know if he'll be back in the future, but we do know one thing: the team will be back at the Roval, and the driver, none other than IndyCar Series driver Conor Daly. He will be making his NASCAR Cup Series debut with the team, and of course his IndyCar sponsor BitNile will be joining in the effort. Of course, this is not Conor Daly's first foray into NASCAR. He has run the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Road America, and then of course he did with Roush Fenway Racing, and I believe their final year that they ran in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, or one of their final years. And then, of course, he ran some races for Nice Motorsports in the Truck Series at Las Vegas with his buddy Travis Pastrana. So, but now he will get the big promotion to the Cup Series. And again, I know he's been eyeing the Roval for a while and talking with him. I did get a lot of chances to talk to him at Pocono. And then, of course, at I didn't really get to talk to him at Mid-Ohio, but in the races at Pocono, I got a chance to talk to him a lot. And I know he's been eyeing the Roval for a while. So it's good to finally see this come to fruition. And again, I don't know who, I said about AJ, who could dislike him. How's about Conor Daly, another guy? I just don't know how you can't like that guy. He is such a nice, genuine guy, and, it's good to be seeing him make his Cup Series debut. Hopefully it'll lead to many more races in the future. I know he wants to kind of expand his resume across many racing disciplines. And again, hope for the best for the money team this weekend as they will go racing at the Charlotte Roval. Indy Lights driver Benjamin Peterson is the first rookie to be called up to the NTT IndyCar Series. He has signed a multi-year deal with AJ Foyt Racing, which will start in 2023 with the full campaign. No car number has been announced. I don't believe any sponsors have been announced, but Benjamin Peterson will be driving for the team. And of course, many rumors, many speculations circulating around Dalton Kellett that he is likely the odd man out at AJ Foyt. So of course, I think this is good for AJ Foyt that they get a rookie driver. I just hope, again, I hope he is not like Matthias Leist or Dalton Kellett. They've had some awful luck with some rookies, and I just hope they can finally break that spell and that he's a proven winner. Kyle Kirkwood, there were issues throughout the year for him. I don't want to fully blame it on him, but there's so many issues that were just out of his control, and he did have some solid runs at times, so we know what AJ Foyt's capable of. And I hope Ben Peterson is a good pickup for him, because again, that second car they've had so many issues with in terms of driver talent. So congrats. As far as what happens to Kellett, personally, I don't mind Dalton Kellett, but I will say that I think they should move on from him. If he's running slower than Jimmy Johnson on a road course, no disrespect to Jimmy Johnson, but sorry, you need to go, bud. I don't care what money you bring into the team. So that's all I got to say on that. The 2023 NTT IndyCar Series schedule has been released, and no changes. So, of course, the season will kick off on the streets of St. Petersburg. The first, the first 8 races will appear on NBC, of course, and that'll kick off with the streets of St. Pete March 5th. Then they get a month off before going to Texas Motor Speedway on April 2nd. Then they get another 2 weeks off. They go to Long Beach. Another 2 weeks off. They go to Barber. Another 2 weeks off. They go to the Indy Road Course before prepping for the Indy 500 2 weeks later. And then, of course, the next week they will run the streets of Detroit, and actually in downtown Detroit, not Belle Isle. That'll be on June 4th before another 2-week break. And then, of course, the NTT IndyCar Series will take on Road America. And then, of course, that is the first race that will be on the USA Network. This season there will be 3 of them on USA. The next one, of course, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, 4th of July weekend. Another one, USA Network. Of course, all races will also be streaming on Peacock. Then, of course, July 16th, 2 weeks later, they will be taking on the streets of Toronto in a paywall race. Again, Peacock, the exclusive home for the Toronto race. The week after that, they will have the Iowa doubleheader. That, of course, will bring NBC back into the fray. August 6th, of course, streets of Crashville, NBC. Probably going to be another shit fest. A week later, August 12th, the IndyCar NASCAR double. And why the flip is this race on USA Network? That I want to know the answer to. But the Indianapolis Road Course will be on USA Network. Then, of course, 2 weeks later, final oval of the season at Worldwide Technology Raceway on NBC. Glad that race got moved to NBC, but again, I want to know why the Indy Road Course was put on USA Network. Then, of course, Labor Day weekend will be in Portland, and then the weekend after, we will take on the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Of course, final 3 races of the season on NBC. F, that's the grade, sorry. F is the grade. First off, again, 17 races, I get it, but here's where my issues lie. March 5th is the first race. April 2nd is race number 2. Why do we take a month off after the first race when we're trying to generate some steam around, some hype around this series? You would think you would go Streets of St. Pete, then Texas the week after, and I get, again, Texas Motor Speedway, the Truck Series will feature Truck Series will be there with the NTT IndyCar Series, and I totally get that. But again, why a month off? Why couldn't, say Barber get moved up? It's not like they share anything with Barber, or better yet, move the Streets of St. Pete back to mid-late March. And then again, no changes. I mean, Streets of Detroit will be interesting, but that's really the only big change. And then again, I highlight, and I knew this was going to happen again, May 13th, the Indianapolis Road Course, August 12th, the Indianapolis Road Course. Can we just pick one date? You have a 17-race schedule. There's no reason you should be visiting a track twice, especially the Indianapolis Road Course. If you want to run the Indy Road Course again, NBC, you're friends with Fox. You loaned Dale Jr. to Fox for a race. You shared the USFL this year, so it's clear that you guys can work together. Why can't you work together and try to get the Indianapolis Road Course race, maybe during the Fox end of things, and just trade off with them for a week and give them a race later in the year? That's what I want to know. What is so difficult about that? And then again, I'm not going to fault Iowa for being the only doubleheader, but again, Iowa, why are we doing doubleheaders, in a 17-race schedule when there's so many other markets you can expand into? First off, the Northeast has only one race representing, and that is the Streets of Toronto. Okay, so if you want to see a race in the Northeast part of America, you have to go get a border pass, you have to get an enhanced, or you have to get a passport. And then, of course, you got to fill out the annoying Arrive Can app. Got to prove your vaccination, which, for some people, they're okay with that. Others, they're like, don't want to get it, and that's your choice. But you're just, again, I just don't get it. And I knew it was coming when they said it was going to be a mirror of 2022, but man, I'm telling you, this schedule, and giving it an F is putting it nicely. This is one of the worst, least amount of changes. First off, I don't get why we're going back to the streets of Nashville. It has been a crash fest the last 2 years. It's been ridiculous. Again, Indy Road Course. You could be going to Watkins Glen. You could be going to Pocono. Again, the aero screen is now here. There's no excuse for not running that track anymore. Portland, again, I just don't like Portland. I don't think it puts on a great race for IndyCar, to be honest. I don't get the obsession with it. Iowa, I'm glad they got a date. Mid-Ohio, I just wish Mid-Ohio wasn't the 4th of July weekend, and I wish it wasn't the closest race that I don't have to cross the border for. Man. And again, I'm thinking about going to that race. But the month off bugs me to no end. That month off at the beginning of the year bugs me to no end. I just don't get it. And then again, with Texas Motor Speedway was going to bring the schedule down to a D regardless, because Texas, I'm sorry, one semi-okay race that we saw last year, or this past year, doesn't negate the 5 or 6 awful ones that we've had the last 5 or 6 years, including that atrocious doubleheader. So I just don't get it. I mean, and again, the only big oval that's on the schedule, another annoying factor. Of course, though, if I do want to look at the positives, let's look at this. They are talking with Milwaukee about bringing back the Milwaukee Mile, but again, fears that, in my opinion, it's going to take away Road America, and I don't want that. But again, let me know your thoughts on the schedule. I don't want to keep rambling on this. This is just going to, drive me nuts. But let's get back to some NASCAR news now. In AJ Allmendinger, of course, Colleague Racing is expected to announce their driver lineup, I believe, later this week or early next week for the NASCAR Cup Series, but Bianchi has already leaked a big piece of information involving Colleague Racing, and it is that AJ Allmendinger will drive in the Cup car for Colleague Racing in 2023. Of course, he will be driving the 16. Many rumors swirling that it is likely Justin Haley will be back in the number 31. So father and son running in the Cup Series. And of course, AJ Allmendinger, 41 years old. He will be running his first full-time Cup season in quite a while. Of course, the last one he ran, I believe, was 2015, 2016. I got to double check that. It's been a while, but he will be 41 years old, and again, he's got to run all 4 restrictor plates, something he hates doing. It's been since 2018 since AJ has run a full Cup schedule, and then, of course, keep in mind, he ran all the road courses last year. He ran all the road course races in 2021, with the exception of Watkins Glen and Sonoma for Colleague. And then this year, he's run quite a handful of races. He's run, I believe, he's run 13 so far, and I believe he's got 3 or 4 more starts, or 2 or 3 more starts behind the wheel of the Colleague Racing machine. Needless to say, glad it is AJ again. He's been such a big part of the growth of Colleague Racing. It only made sense that if he wanted to go to Cup, he should go to Cup. And this is a team that, to me, it looks like they just back him 100%. I mean, Chris Rice has his back fully. Matt Colleague has his back. And again, big part of the growth of Colleague Racing. He has been huge to this team. So that's why I think if he wants to go Cup Racing, I'm so glad that they are going to let him do that. And again, even beyond his career. I mean, he's 41 years old. I'm sure he won't be racing much longer. But, I think even beyond his career, he's going to have a future at Colleague Racing, likely as that driver coach, kind of that Dario Franchitti role for him at Chip Ganassi Racing's IndyCar program. Now, of course, with that out, a day before that, there were some rumors swirling about Colleague Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and who would take a ride there. Well, rumors are swirling that it is none other than KBM driver Chandler Smith that will be, now it looks like, will be driving the number 16 in 2023 unless Hemrick or Landon Castle are on the way out. But Chris Rice was asked that question about Chandler Smith rumors, and he just simply stated, if Chandler Smith wants to go NASCAR Xfinity Series racing next year, tell him to give me a call. Now again, driver lineup will be announced, I believe, at the end of this week or early next week. I know they got a big open house coming up this month, so we'll have more information probably next show, but Chandler Smith would be a big pickup for this team. Of course, We saw what they did with Justin Haley when they picked him up after just a part-time Truck Series schedule. I do believe he ran a full-time Truck season. I'll have to look into it, but Chandler Smith can be another one of those drivers for them that he could develop, maybe take a third ride with them, of course, if and when they want to expand to a 3-car, possibly a 4-car organization. But one thing we know, Kaulig is here to stay, and they've built quite an empire there. They've built quite a team right now that I think will be a force to be reckoned with in the future. All right, race weekend picks for the Roval. We start with the NASCAR Xfinity Series and AJ Allmendinger. He's my pick. No surprise there. He's just been dominant at the Roval. I don't see anybody putting a stop to it just yet. Chase Elliott, he's my Cup pick. Again, another one very dominant at the Roval. It seems like no matter what situation he gets himself into, he always finds his way back up front, even with the most damaged race car you could imagine. So again, Chase Elliott, my Cup pick. AJ Allmendinger, my Xfinity pick. We want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next week for another edition of Out of Turn 4. Be sure to tune in for No Final Bell, though, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, tune in on Sunday for Sunday Morning Tinkle. Until then, goodbye, everyone.